Hello everyone, welcome to Raaonline. Today we will discuss our second chapter in the crash, that is the breathing and the exchange of gases, right? As its name suggests, breathing and exchange of gases, that means in that chapter we'll study about the whole respiratory system of the human being, right? Their internal structures which helps to complete the process of breathing, what is the difference of breathing and the respiration, how many types of respirations occurs, right? So all these processes, mechanism of breathing, pulmonary ventilation, the pulmonary volumes, pulmonary capacities, all these things we will discuss under this chapter, right? Now the question is, what is respiration actually? Respiration and breathing both are different things, right? Both are different, but in NCERT actually a line is mentioned here that the breathing is also known as the respiration or commonly called the breathing, right? Respiration commonly called the breathing, but actually both processes are different, right? What is respiration? That is the process in which, when we talk about the respiration, what is respiration? That is the process in which the oxidation of organic compounds occur, right? Oxidation of organic compounds occurs, right? And what will happen? Release of energy and release of energy, right? So oxidation of organic compounds in cells and release of energy is known as the respiration, right? And what is breathing? That is inhalation. And when we talk about the breathing, when we compare both, that is inhalation of oxygen and exhalation of carbon dioxide, right? Inhalation of oxygen and exhalation of the carbon dioxide, that is called the breathing. Clear? So now there are some more difference in between the respiration and breathing. We will discuss it, right? But now when we talk about the stages of respiration, right, that is, now come to the stages of respiration, right? According to G.S. Carter, there are three stages of respiration, right? First one is the external respiration. Second is the internal respiration. And the third one is the cellular respiration, right? External respiration. In external respiration, what will happen? It is also known as the ventilation. External respiration is also known as the ventilation. So what is the what the process in external respiration? That is the gaseous exchange between the environment and the lungs, right? What will happen in that external respiration? The gaseous exchange between the environment and the lungs, right? When we talk about the internal respiration, so there are two stages which comes in the internal respiration. First one is the gaseous exchange between the lungs and the blood, and second, when blood gets the amount of required gas, right, then it get exchanged with the body, another tissue fluid, right? So there are two statements. First is gaseous exchange in between the lungs and the blood. Second is the gaseous exchange in between blood and tissue fluids, right? And third one is the cellular respiration, in which the oxidation of foodstuffs occur and energy is released. So these are the three stages of the respiration, right? When we talk about the more classification, then it is there are two types of respiration, that is aerobic and anaerobic, right? First one is the aerobic and second is the anaerobic. It's very important from the examination point of view, okay? Actually, question asked from that part. Aerobic, as its name suggests, aerobic, that means oxygen is required, right? Oxygen is required in the aerobic respiration. In anaerobic, there is no need of oxygen, right? That is oxygen not required, right? When we talk about the site of that aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration, so that process occurs in the mitochondria. That process occurs in the mitochondria, and anaerobic respiration occurs in the cytoplasm, because we know that mitochondria is the storehouse of the energy, and by the process of respiration the oxidation of foodstuffs occur and the energy is released. So that energy is stored in the form of ATP in the mitochondria, right? So aerobic respiration occurs in the mitochondria, anaerobic respiration occurs in the cytoplasm. Clear? When we talk about the energy yielding, so high energy yielding in an aerobic respiration, and as compared to aerobic respiration, low energy yielding. Why? Because incomplete oxidation of the organic compounds of the foodstuff, and in anaerobic, that is the complete oxidation occurs, right? That's why the high energy yielding and the low energy yielding in the high energy in aerobic and low energy in the anaerobic, right? When we talk about the final products of the aerobic, then final products are the carbon dioxide and water, right? And in anaerobic respiration, the final products are the lactic acid and alcohol. Clear? Now, when we talk about the examples that the aerobic respiration occurs in, so aerobic respiration occurs in the higher plants and animals, right? Aerobic respiration occurs in the higher plants and the animals, and anaerobic respiration occurs in the RBCs, that is red blood corpuscles, right? Muscle cell, we know that in muscles aerobic and anaerobic both kind of respiration occur, right? And due to the anaerobic respiration in muscular cell, the lactic acid is formed due to the Cori cycle, right? Pyruvic acid is converted into the lactic acid and deposited here, and after some time that lactic acid is converted into the glycogen and stored in the muscles, right? And that's why we say that the degradation of the muscular glycogen is typical. It's not so easy, right? First, our body use the in case of emergency, our body use the glycogen of the liver, right? After that, in rare cases when the liver glycogen is not available or the glycogen storage of liver is finished, right? In that case only our body maybe use the oxidize that glycogen of the muscles, right? So RBCs, muscle cells and the internal parasite, right? Internal parasites of intestine. So these are the differences between the aerobic and anaerobic respiration, right? These are the differences between the aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So you have to learn these differences so you can solve the questions easily. Clear? Now what will happen, same as that, there is difference between the breathing and the respiration. We know that the breathing is biomechanical process. Why? Because there is involvement of some biomembranes and the muscles is involved here, right? And the exchange of gases here. But in respiration, that is the purely biochemical process, right? Respiration is biochemical process. Clear? So basically these questions asked in the exams. Now come to the respiratory organ. In NCERT it is well marked, right? And question asked from that part, that is respiratory organs, right? In respiratory organs, when we see according to the evolutionary history, that is the protozoan, then poriferans, then coelenterata, right? Then Cnidaria. So all the phylums have different respiratory organs according to their requirement, according to their need, right? When we talk about the simple organisms like the protozoans, the poriferans, all these, they respire through their entire body surface, right? In NCERT one line is marked that lower vertebrates like the sponges, the coelenterata or the coelentrates, flatworm which belongs to the phylum Platyhelminthes, right? It belongs to the phylum Platyhelminthes, etc. That means there are some more, that is like the nematohelminthes, right, and some more phylums is there, or animals which use the entire body surface as respiratory organ, because they can exchange the gases by the simple diffusion process, right, that is higher concentration to lower concentration. Clear? So simply through body wall, through body surfaces, right. When we talk about the annelids, right, and in NCRT the example of annelid is given in the chapter, that is the earthworm, right. So earthworm use their moist cuticle, right, earthworm use their moist cuticle, right. That means also we can say the annelids also use the body surface, entire body surface for the exchange of gases. Yes, we can, right. But just because of NCERT use it as separate part, and it mentioned here that earthworm use their moist cuticle for the respiration, right. And the question is, when we put the earthworm in sunlight, then what will happen due to the evaporation of the moisture? And because we know that the annelid's skeleton is the hydrostatic skeleton, right, the annelid's skeleton is the hydrostatic skeleton. Clear? So they, if their moisture is evaporated or water balance is imbalanced in their body, then they will die, right. So that's why the annelid maintain their moisture, right. Now when we talk about the insects, right, when we talk about the insects, so they have the network of tubes, or we can say the respiratory organ, that is the tracheal tubes, right, respiratory organ, that is the tracheal tubes, and they can respire through the spiracles, right, tracheal tubes and spiracles. Clear? Now when we talk about the another that is respiratory organ, gills. So through gills, fishes, aquatic arthropods, right, fishes, aquatic arthropods use their gills for as the respiratory organ, right. And some molluscans also right. Now when we talk about the lungs, so lungs is acts as a respiratory organs in the mammals, reptiles and the birds, right, even in amphibians also, reptiles, birds and mammals. But you know, the most lungs is used by most efficiently used by the mammals, right. When we talk about the amphibians like the frog, actually the question related with frog respiration asked in previous year question, frog can respire through three types of respiration is present in the frog. First one is the cutaneous respiration, right? Cutaneous respiration. Second one is the buccopharyngeal respiration, and third one is the pulmonary respiration. Most of the time they perform the cutaneous respiration, right, when they are present in the water, right, or the moist areas. Then they use the cutaneous respiration. When they are out of the water, then they do the buccopharyngeal respiration. And lungs of the amphibians or the frogs are not very efficient actually, right? That's why their lungs are very spongy, right? Their lungs are very spongy, so that's why they are not efficient to do the pulmonary respiration. Clear? So these are the types of the respiratory organs according to the evolutionary history of the animals, right? Now come to the human respiratory system. When we talk about the human respiratory system, the whole respiratory system is developed from the endoderm, right? The whole respiratory system is developed from the endoderm. We divided it into two parts, that is upper respiratory tract and lower respiratory tract, right? When we talk about the upper respiratory tract, that is upper respiratory tract, that is it starts from the external nostrils, then the nasal chamber, then the internal nostrils, right, then the nasopharynx, then trachea, right, then larynx, then trachea, and trachea is up to that level, up to the larynx, that is called the upper respiratory tract. When it goes down towards the lungs, that is after when trachea enters inside the lungs, then it is called the lower respiratory tract. So in most of the cases our upper respiratory tract is infected, more infected. Clear? Right? Now this is nostril, external nostril, right? This is the nasal passage, and that portion is called the nasopharynx, right? That portion is called the nasopharynx. Now that nasopharynx opens into the it opens here, right? Now there is larynx, voice box is present, right? That is larynx, which is voice box, and after that, that is the trachea, and that trachea is divided into two. Actually the space is not sufficient here, right? Nostrils, external nostrils, that is the nasal passage, right? That nasal passage opens into the nasopharynx, right? That is the pharynx region, nasopharynx. Now here we will find the voice box, which is known as the larynx, right? We will find here the voice box, which is known as the larynx, and larynx is open into the trachea, right? That larynx, that is the trachea, which is known as the windpipe. That trachea is known as the windpipe, right? And that trachea is divided into two parts here. The left tube is shorter and wider, and the the left one is the narrower and longer, and the right one is the shorter and the broader, right? And that trachea is divided into both these branches, which is called the bronchus, right? And that trachea is lined with the incomplete C-shaped cartilage, which is also known as the hyaline cartilage, right? This is called the hyaline cartilage, and this hyaline cartilage is incomplete C-shaped cartilage. It is the question of pre-medical, right? Larynx, trachea, that is windpipe, tracheal rings, these are the bronchus, right? These are the bronchus. So when we talk about the whole respiratory passage, right, it starts from the external nostrils, it opens into the nasal vestibule, right? It opens into the nasal vestibule. That portion of the skin which is enfolded here, right, that portion is called the nasal vestibule. That nasal vestibule opens into the nasal chamber, right? Then internal nostrils or internal nares, right? Then what? Nasopharynx, then larynx, trachea, primary bronchi, secondary bronchi, tertiary bronchi, right? Terminal bronchioles, terminal bronchioles, then and the vascularized bag-like structure which is called the alveoli, right? It is highly vascularized. So this is the whole respiratory path, right? Up from external nostrils up to the tertiary bronchi or the terminal bronchi, that part is called the tertiary bronchi. That part is known as the conducting part. Why? Because they conduct the air, right? And after that it is called the respiratory path, because there at this level from the terminal bronchioles at the alveoli, right, there is exchange of gases, right? There is exchange of gases. That's why the alveoli is also known as the respiratory surface. That alveoli is also known as the respiratory surface, right? So that nasopharynx opens into the trachea, right? When we talk about that nasopharynx open into the larynx, so what is larynx, which is also known as the voice box, That larynx is also known as the voice box, right? This production of sound, this kind of production of sound it is just due to the larynx, right? It is just due to the larynx. Larynx is made up of 9 pieces of cartilages, right? It is made up of 9 pieces of cartilages, in which 3 are paired and 3 are unpaired, right? 3 are paired and 3 are unpaired. Clear? So arytenoid, corniculate, cuneiform, and these are the paired, and thyroid, epiglottis and cricoid, these are the unpaired. Clear? The cavity of larynx is known as the glottis, right? What will happen? See here, esophagus, this is the larynx, this is the glottis cavity, this is the cartilage of Santorini, right? What will happen when boluses fall down on that epiglottis? This is a cartilaginous flap which is called the epiglottis. So by the pressure of that bolus over the epiglottis and due to the cartilaginous flap, and it is the example of the elastic cartilage, right? It is the elastic cartilage, type of elastic cartilage. So due to the elasticity, it falls over that structure which is called the cartilage of Santorini. It is called the cartilage of Santorini, right? And what will happen, that it when it fall on the cartilage of Santorini, that cartilage of Santorini fall on, or we can say that it covers the glottis, right? It covers the glottis, that is the cavity of the larynx, and it in that manner it prevents the entry of food inside the trachea. Clear? There is arrangement of the vocal cords. It's just tentative diagrams just to understand the structures and the functioning of little bit, right? So but the structure is different from that. It's just a ray diagram to understand. So simply the vocal cords are arranged in the larynx, inside the larynx, right, which is responsible for the voice, right? And the space between these vocal cords, right, the space between these vocal cords is known as the rima glottidis, right? It is called the rima glottidis. Clear? It is called the rima glottidis. Now what will happen? The production of sound production is known as the phonation, or we can say the process of sound production. That process is known as the phonation. Clear? Now what will happen? In larynx, when we compare the vocal cords of the male, female and the children, right, so the female pitch is high and sharp pitch sound, right? It's high and sharp pitch sound, and when we compare it with male, so the male pitch is low and it's low. Clear? And the voice is heavy, right? The voice is heavy. So simply when we talk about that process, there are two types of vocal cords. right? Two types of vocal cords here. First is the false vocal cord. Why it is called false vocal cord? Because it cannot help in the sound production, right? They cannot help in the sound production, but they are necessary to maintain the moisture for the true vocal cords, right? So that means we can say they are necessary to maintain the condition of the false vocal cord, right? Now, when we talk about the true vocal cords, why it is called true vocal cords? Because they help in the phonation. They helps in the phonation, that is the sound production, right? When true vocal cords are in relaxed condition and air passes in between them, then there is no sound production. But what will happen when the see, this is I'm trying to explain you with the help of that rubber. This is the vocal cord which is unstretched in condition, right? When the air passes in between that vocal cord, there is no sound production. But what will happen when we stretch it here like that, right? And the air is passes in between them, then what will happen? The sound is produced, right? The sound is produced just like that when the vocal cord is stretched and air passes through these stretched vocal cords, right? So there is production, there are some vibrations, right? And these vibrations, with the help of the speech center and the tongue and our brain, we convert it into the words, right? So that's why that true vocal cords helps in that manner in the production of sound, right? One more thing there, when we talk about the Adam's apple, right? Adam's apple. What is that Adam's apple? That is the secondary sexual character of the male. Secondary sexual character of the male, right? It's secondary sexual character of the male, which is called the laryngeal prominence, right? It is actually called the laryngeal prominence. Why it is called laryngeal prominence? Because it is present in the mid-ventral region of the thyroid cartilage, actually, right? So it is formed by the laryngeal prominence and it is present only in the males, right? Because it is the secondary sexual characters in the males, not in females. Adam's apples is absent in females, right? This is also the question of pre-medical, clear? So in that manner, that is the laryngeal prominence, clear?